Hello. Thanks for coming to this session. So my name is Mathilde Lemee. I'm working for Terracotta, and I also have a mobile studio called IHS. We're going to talk about FluentLenium. So FluentLenium is a wrapper around Selenium. I suppose most of you know what is Selenium, but for those who don't know, Selenium is a tool that provides you the features to automate your browser. It can automate the browser you want, Firefox, Chrome, Opera, Internet Explorer 2. And so you can run them on different browsers and see how your website is printing some stuff on the screen to be sure that the features are still working, the pixels are well, and stuff like that. So why doing a wrapper on Selenium? I like a lot Selenium too, but here are some drop-off. The way they handle the Ajax stuff and the API is sometimes really, really verbose. So we try to do here something more fluent for Java developers. And for Java developers that knows a little bit of CSS. So the CSS basics, I only have one slide, this one. So after that, I will show you some codes. But the CSS basics, for those who don't know, the first line with the sharp is the ID. Okay. When I put that, is the ID that is the element that have this ID. The second one with the dot specifies the class of the element. The third is the element. For example, if I say input, it will target all the inputs on my page. The second one means all the inputs that have the class. Okay, so just to be more precise. The last one, input space class, means for all the inputs on my page, I want to have those whose contain an element with the class. Okay, that wasn't really easy. That's all. So let me show you some code. That's Selenium code, so that's a bad test, okay? That test is doing a lot of nasty stuff. In fact, what it just have this application, which is a sample of the Play2 framework, and it just tries to navigate here, clicking here. Okay, I can't click because, clicking on next, say okay, it's a good displaying, so you click on previous, you go to the search, you fill up in it, and you try to do some bad addition stuff like meaning around discontinued that, and saving it, I say, oops, that doesn't work. That's what the test is doing. So, what's the code? So that's Selenium's code. So what you do on this line is just it puts a bridge on a Firefox bridge. So it means that with that WebDriver, it will be able to manipulate the Firefox browser. Second line is quite, I think everybody will understand that. It just say, okay, go to that URL. And after that, it began to do some fine elements because you are on a HTML DOM stuff. And you want to interact with elements. And before interacting with them, you have to select them. So to select them, you will have to use the find syntax. So here you will do find element, and you will say, for example, by CSS selector, section H1, and I ask you to give me the text of that element, and after that, I just be sure it's equal to that string. Second line is the same. After that, you see that you can, again, use the CSS selector to target one element and do a click on that element. You can also here send keys to an element. If you like, if you see, the by here is not CSS selector, it's ID. And this test have a lot of them. So you add CSS selector here, ID here, link text here, So you've got a lot of way to interact with that page. But in my opinion, it's very, very verbose. So with FluentLenium, it's really more simple. If you want to go to a page, you go to your page. Okay. So I'm just going to show you a test. I will just take a little bit of that big test. I will only put the discontinued stuff. So it's only the last part. I'm here, editing that page, going to the discontinued date, putting XXX or whatever you want, and saving, and he said to me, oops, there is an error. So that is the test I'm going to do. So the go to that page. After that, how will I select the discontinued input to put my string in it? I will do a find. The easiest way is to do that. Find discontinued. So here I've got the element that has the ID discontinued, and I will be able to interact. For example, doing a click, doing a clear, because it's an input, putting there some text, blah, 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 and stuff like that. If it have been a form, I can also have submitted and stuff like that. So you've got your action really, really in a simple way, but that's not all. Here it's easy, because I can modify the source code of the page, but sometimes you can't. You can't because it's generated, or you can't because it's another people that do that widget or stuff like that. So what if you can't modify and put a proper ID? You can be a CSS guru, and if so, you will be happy because you can really do some pretty stuff with CSS. But if you're not, you will have a lot of helper class. So you will be able to main thing you want to search. You know it's an input. You know his name. Or maybe you don't know his name. Maybe you don't know that his name contains or starts with. Maybe you just know that your name starts with discon. And in fact, it will return you all the inputs that has the name that starts with discon. So that's what you can do. And because it's a list, a return list of elements, you can also select the element you want. Here you will select the second input of my page. Okay. But there is another way. Because it's an action and because it's a simple ID I want to click on, I can do a click. No, that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is to fill discontinued with XXX. Okay, and that's all. And that does the stuff. Okay. After that, I want to click on input primary, which is in fact my button here. In fact, the input primary. If I look, I will say that it's an input, and the class is primary. So I will click on that button. And I also want to be sure that, I can find an element, I can find an error. Okay, and I want that to have only one error. So here, I just will go to the form, filling the discontinued field with my value, clicking on the button I defined using my CSS selector, asserting that I only have one error. And if I launch it, that's going to be very, very quick, but the test will be, I hope, green. Sorry. Maybe you will see some action on the screen, but yeah, okay. So you just see the Firefox pop-ups that were launched and the results. So my test is green. So let's do another one. So on that one, I just want to be sure that my search is working. So again, I go to my page, I fill my search box with my text, I click, and I assert. With that, I will be able to test all the websites. Okay, it's a simple website. It's a basic CRUD. Okay, where you create computers, you edit them, you delete them, you save them, and so on. With only this, I will be able to write some leasable and maintainable tests, really more than the big verbose Selenium test. Okay, by cutting them and by making them more fluent. Okay, but let's try with a real project, because how many of you have some Ajax in your brother? Only that? Yeah, that's better. Okay, lots of people. So one thing that Selenium, when Selenium 2 came, they say, okay, you don't have to wait anymore. We do it for you. Okay, that's cool. But what about Ajax? Oh, Ajax. Oh, we don't. Okay, so that's not cool. So of course, they provide tool for that. But the tool is, it's sad because it means that you have to, the way you will deal with your Ajax request will not be as fluent as it can be. So, up. Okay. So now we're going to use a real website, which is, okay, so sorry it's in French, but that's just a website to find freelance. No big deal. And that's me, yeah. And I will just do the Java here and searching that on Belgic, okay, and hopefully I will find nobody, okay, because it's a French website. Okay, so the websites are relative, the test relative is that one. Again, it's really simple. I mean, we just spoke about the API maybe 10 minutes ago, and you already know what I want to do here. Okay, the only thing I want to do is to fill the output with the ID who, with the Java, and the input with the ID location with Belgic. And after that, I want to click to the search button and to be sure that I have a pop-up saying, okay, you've got no results. That's all. So we can think that this one, I'm sorry for that. Okay, we can think that this one will work too, but this one will not. Because of what? Because of Ajax. The way so that's just my password renewal features. You know, you forget your password, so you go to the home page, you click on login, you try some, I have no idea. Okay, that's the features. And there you click to, I've lost my password. So here's what I do. I do to go to my sign-in page, so that's okay. I fill my username with my Gmail address, that's okay. I click on password renewal, still okay. But because it's an Ajax calls, it will take time. And the problem here is that the asset2, it's immediate. So it will not wait for the server to respond to my Ajax request. So because of that, I could define a global timer. So that's a thing I can do. Or I can say, okay, just for this test, just for this moment, I want you to wait maybe 2 or 3 seconds to be sure that my server has responded, which is really important. So the way I'm doing that is I say await, at most, I don't know, 3 seconds, okay, until my element with the class native success has size. Okay, so I can choose whatever I want, greater than, lesser than. I would say, I think, greater than 1, for example. And that means that it will wait for the small native success element on the trunk saying, okay, my server say, okay, so you can, it just informs the user that the password has been sent by email. So that will working. In fact, you will see the go-to, the fill, the click, you will see the await, and after you will find that the notif is succeeded. If we go to there on a debug mode just to be sure that you can see what the brother is doing. Yeah, it's a bit long. Okay, so he is connecting to the page. Okay, I will just, okay, okay, okay. Okay. So that's not this, but that's no problem. So, okay, I think everybody got what I wanted to show. So you've got the notif success here. Up. Okay, now it's gone, but I suppose you see that before it was green on the top. Okay, so that's nice, that's clean, but imagine some guys on your team do maybe 50 tests like that, and someone changed the ID, and then you want to kill your friend, your colleagues, because it's not maintainable. You will have to modify 50 tests just because it just do something really nasty. Doesn't seem to other. So, how many of you know the page object pattern? Yeah, that's not a lot. Okay, so page object pattern is kind of the pattern you have to know when you do some automating brother testing. No matter the tool you use, it's really not a problem. But the page object pattern is really important. The page is just an object, Java object, simple one. But in fact, you will separate all your functional. So functional go is your test, and all the plumbing, all the my ID is that one, or the name of my button is that one. All that stuff, really relative to low-level HTML, will go to the page object. So what's a page object? If I call it, for example, login page, I will extend. So you have to extend Fluent page, okay? If you extend it, you will see that you can implement two methods, getURL, which is the URL of your page. So if you're on a stateless stuff like this, where I know the URL of my page, it's the thing you have to use, and the is it. So first, we're gonna just use the getURL. So we're gonna return your URL. Okay, exactly the same as that one, but now it's the page who knows, because if you want to change the port because you've got an decoration or a production or a development environment, you will want to change sometimes the URL and stuff like that. So it's better if only one class takes this responsibility. Yeah, it's a story of responsibility here. Knowing the URL of the page is the responsibility of your page objects. After that, maybe it's a login page, so it makes sense to define a login. And then that means that all the tests that will need to log in, they will just say, okay, my login page, that login, username login, and that do the stuff. Okay. For example, on that page, I also have a renew. Sorry. Okay, a renew. And if I start to use that page on the test, what should I do? I declare it's a page. Okay, so okay, what do you want? It's a login page, and okay, suppose I got something wrong. Yeah, I have something wrong in my input, but that's not a big deal. Okay, so if I just remove this test, I will say here go to page. Okay, I will say a page dot renew my mail. Okay, I'll remove that. Okay, so here, if I got 20 tests or 50 tests using the renew or the login method, if something changed, if someone completely modified the widgets that allows me to log in, for me it's not a big deal. What I have to maintain is only that, not my test. Because what? Because the login in a functionality, the functionality login didn't change. It's only the HTML change. So in that case, I will only have to change my page. So that makes my code and my test code really more maintainable. And that's a big problem. When you start to use Selenium or FluentLenium or also tools like that, is to keep your test suite maintainable. Okay, but I have that. So I thought that a lot of people let that in the test, but that's a problem. Because what? Because again, it's an assertion. So all the assertions have to be in the test class, but it's kind of too much low level. As soon as you've got class or an ID or stuff like that, you don't have to put them on the test. You have to put them on the page object part, on the page object. So here I'm going to have a method like that. Here's success. In fact, the page knows if it's a success or not. But another thing important here, it's not the page who do the assertion here, saying, okay, sur cherche, I will fail or I will not fail. It's not the page. The page is dumb. Okay, it's stupid, really. It only knows the HTML. All the logic, all the internal of the test, all the I want to do that like that and stuff like that, it's not the page, it's the test. So I will just have the assert true, the page.is success. And that is a code that I can maintain easily. Even if I had lots of tests, of course, if someone breaks a page or something like that, they will fail. But if someone just change, saying, okay, we're going to use a new frameworks that will do stuff that way, and that will identify the object in it that way, I will only have to modify my page. And that's really less work than to have to modify all your tests. Okay? So another stuff is that, of course, because the problem when you do sometimes Selenium testing or automating browser testing is that you have to put your page in a state. But because you are forced by the browser, you have to use sometimes a JavaScript. So that's things you can do here. So that's nasty, and you can't maintain easily the JavaScript you write this way, but that's working. If I do that and if I launch the test, I will see a pop-up saying 1. Okay, so but that can be a useful trick, but trick that you don't normally use too often, because it's everybody knows tools like that, like Byteman or other stuff that put code as string. It's just a nightmare if it has to be maintained a lot. There is also some stuff you can do as, okay, it's funny because sometimes you've got one test that fail. Okay, you know the test failing, but you don't know exactly what was the page state. Okay, because it was running on Jenkins or Fireware, I don't know where. You don't know what was the page was looking like when it failed. So here you have to just say set snapshot mode, and you say, okay, I want to take snapshot every time my test is failing. And you will also add a pass, okay? And if I do something like that, again, sorry. Okay. So normally it will fail, and what should I see is a new picture with a screenshot of my brother the minute my test fail. Okay, so as you see, my test is red, so I have a fail directory, which is really a screenshot of my browser just before it was closed. Another thing that can be important is to share the browser, because the first version of FluentLenium, and again now, you can share driver. Okay, I mean that the first say, okay, for each test I will launch a new browser. That's good, because you want your test to be isolated, okay? But that's not good, because I think that all of you have seen the time it takes to launch a browser. It's 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, depending on your laptop or your server, stuff like that. So there is sometimes when you are, okay, for example, if you want to test the logging stuff, okay, there you want to have clean browser, that's okay. But if it's just some basic search of basic interaction, you just don't want that. So you will be able to define that you want the sharedriver once. And if I do that, it means that all my tests will share the same browser. If I share chip per class, it will only be, so I will launch only one browser for all the tests in my class. And I can say some tests will be running on a pair method, some other will be on a pair class, and some other running on a pair, on a once with only one browser that they will share together. Okay, you can combine them and have the shared driver you want on each class. Okay, there is another stuff, is that because FluentLenium forces you to extend a class, it can be a problem when you, for example, want to use bytemine at the same time. And a lot of test frameworks force you to extend some things. But what's happening when you want to have 2 of them? You just can't. Or you have to do some bridge to make them work. So what you can do is also use the isolated test. Isolated test is the same, but to run an isolated test, you don't have to run. Sorry, I had to be on the top. Up. Okay. You know, and here I get again all the find I have before, all the find. So I can do a find after I will be able to do a clear on some, you know. But that, I don't need to extend anything. And if I want to change the browser, I can specify here. For example, if I want a Chrome driver, so that's test with Chrome. Okay, that will work. Okay. So another feature that we have is, are many of you doing behavior-driven development, BDD? Some of you. I don't know if you use Cucumber or not, okay, but we know of some people that like FluentLenium and they also like Cucumber that have done a fun stuff. So in a 2 minutes, okay. So with Cucumber, you define your test like that. I mean, you define your features, you define your scenario, and you say, okay, given the features, I am on the first page. When my feature, I click on the next page, then I am on the second page. Stuff like that. Okay, and the BDD addicts say that everybody can write that kind of test, and you, as a developer, only have to code the bridge. So you can also code the bridge with FluentLenium. And that's syntax, which is not perfect, but here you say class that shared a driver, but it's per features. So it's for only these features I will share my driver. And you will have all you given. So each time you will see on the feature page, you will see a sentence. You will try to map it to one method with the value. And after that, you will just execute the method. So here you've got an example with FluentLenium with Cucumber. That is not perfect, but that's still in work in progress, but it's working. And that's all. Time is finished. So thanks for coming. If everybody has questions or stuff like that, I will be present. There is an hackathon tomorrow I think it's tomorrow morning, but maybe not, I can't remember, when if people want to code with FluentLenium or add features or have new ideas, we are open source, so please come and share. And if you want something more theoric, we will have also a quickie Wednesday during around 12. Okay. Thanks a lot.